Hey everybody, welcome to this A1 English listening practice video. You can use this video to practice listening and comprehension as I speak. Okay, today we are going to talk about pattern part 3. And if you do this, if you demonstrate pattern in this situation, you are going to have better relationships. People are going to like more. You are going to have fewer arguments. Maybe the other people is going to feel more cared about for them, and you will have better communication overall. So I think that we should all practice with just being able to shut our mouths and listen to other people speak, and not just immediately try to talk and interrupt and say what we want to say. We should let other people finish before we start giving our opinion about something. For example, so that's another situation. Another time when we need to the paint is when we're learning language. This is very relevant to all of you and to me because I am a language learner. Learning is language takes a long time. I constantly get questions from people asking about their language learning process, and usually we express frustrations that they aren't improving fast, or they feel stuck, or they feel like their progress is not what they want it to be. They feel like they have a problem. They ask me questions, and they frame the question kind of like saying that there's something wrong with them. Why aren't I improving how I should be? I have a problem with this. What's wrong with me? What should I be doing differently? I constantly get questions like this, and they are legitimate questions. I'm not saying that there aren't good questions. However, what I want to say is the vast majority of the time when people ask me this question, it's not like that people are studying in the complete wrong way, and they are wasting their time and they need to completely change everything about their language learning routine. It's not that. Usually they are just advancing slowly and they don't realize it, and they don't realize how long it takes to learn a language, okay? Let me give you an example of my language learning process. I've been speaking Spanish for over a decade, not a year or a couple of years, not 5 years, not 8 years. Now I've been speaking Spanish for over 10 years, over a decade now. Okay, my wife is a Spanish speaker. She only speaks to me in Spanish. Okay, I lived in Mexico for 6 years. My whole life was in Spain, and that's today, over 10 years later. I'm still in the process of learning Spanish, not actively. I don't actively study Spanish. However, I'm constantly learning new things, new words, the things that I don't understand, the things that I misunderstand, the things that I need people to repeat because I just get it and I make mistakes all the time. Rồi, con đi vào tí mẹ mua thuốc cho đi. And this is what I deal with, and I've been speaking Spanish for over a decade. I've lived in the country for many years. My wife only speaks in Spanish to me, and that I'm still improving. I still make mistakes. I still have an accent. I still don't sound anything like a native speaker. So just know that learning a language takes. Of course, you can reach a intermediate level in a pretty short period of time if you dedicate a lot of hours to it, and you can even reach an advanced level in relatively short period of time, depending on your motivation and how many hours you are dedicating to it. However, when your goal is to become really good at a language, that is when I say that something is inventable, what I'm saying is that it's unavoidable. So there's no way to avoid this. If you want to reach a really high level in English, then that's going to take a really long time. Okay, that's just how it is. We need to be patient. And similarly, another situation in which we need to have a patent is when we are trying to achieve a goal. Learning a language is one goal. That's one example. But when we want to achieve any goal, we need patience. If you want to lose weight, that's not going to happen tomorrow, right? You can't really expect that to happen in 24 hours. You need to stick with it for a certain period of time before you actually see the result. By the way, the brain stick with it just means that you continue doing something, so you need to stick with it and be patient, and eventually you will see results, but not overnight. The word overnight refers to from one day to the next. You are not going to see results in just one day. You need to have a little more patience than that. Or if your goal is to learn some new skill, maybe you want to learn a programming language or something like that. That's not going to happen overnight. You need patience. You need to accept that this is going to take some time, and eventually you will reach your goal, right, if you stick with it. But patience is necessary when we set goals and we want to achieve the goals. And another situation that requires a lot of patience is when we're going through the growth process. This is probably the worst one. For me, this is the thing that is the most frustrating and tests my patience the most when I am going through a growth process, and the growth takes a long time to do the process and respond to me or to do what they need to do. This can be really frustrating. I need to have more patience when it comes to this, because it is inevitable. We all deal with their process. We all live in countries that have governments that are not efficient and not very well run, and are not the best institutions with the best customer service, and all of that. All of us are in this situation regardless of which country you live in, so we need to have patience and know that the process are going to take a while, and we can't do that much to influence this. So when my wife was going through immigration process live in the US, she took a long time. She took multiple years. So this was something that required a lot of patience, and at times I feel like it was never going to end, but of course it did, and we got through the process and everything is okay now. But during that period, it was hard to have patience sometimes, and that was something that really taught me to just quiet and to not allow things that I can't control to negatively impact my life and my daily life and my mood. I need to kind of not focus on this process and just live my life, be patient and why. So that was a big one. And one more situation that I wanted to mention, probably the most important one, the most important situation in which we need patience is when you are parenting, when you have kids. When you have kids, your level of patience is tested in a way unlike anything else. So you are dealing with small people, humans that have not learned to act properly, behave well, communicate effectively. They don't know this that they don't have their skill, especially at young age. So if you don't have patience, it is going to be very hard for you. You are going to deal with a lot of situations in which you are annoyed or irritated, or you feel desperate because you know how something needs to be, but your kids don't doesn't. They don't know this, or they do the opposite, or they do a lot of things that can possibly irritate or and affect our mood, and they can cause us to lose our cool sometimes. And we need to be careful with it, and we need to exercise patience and to really understand that kids need instruction and discipline, and they need time. They need time to learn their things and to learn how to behave properly, learn how to communicate, learn to how express their feeling in good and normal way. They need time before they can do all of it effectively. So we can expect them to just be born with the skills that simple not reality. And as a parent, patience is necessary. You need to understand that their process takes a long time. The kids will need a long time before they really learn all their lessons, and they can do things the way that you can do them as an adult. So for me, that's probably the most important student in which patience is definitely required. So those was some different students, but there are plenty of others. I hope this episode was interesting for you, and hopefully it got you thinking a little bit about your painting life, and maybe it can inspire all of us to be a little more patient. And if you feel ready to practice with real conversation between native speaker, then make sure to sign up for my Earth Conversation podcast. The link is in the description below the episode. You will love this. Their conversations are really interesting and it's great practice for your listening. So make sure to sign that. And if you want to join my membership and get the special training for your listening and your pronunciation and my advice, and if you are Spanish or a Portugal speaker and you want to read fiction in English, then check out my ebook. The links are also down below. And if you like this podcast, I'd really appreciate it if you could share it with anyone you know who's learning English. That really helps me out, and please give it a 5-star rating and write a review. Alright, thank you for